Ladies and gentlemen, there comes a moment in every life when we must face the raw truth. Either you master your emotions, or they master you. The world is merciless. It does not wait for hesitation, nor does it honor the timid heart. And yet, within each of us lies a power so profound that it can turn the storms of life into stepping stones, or, if misused, transform us into creatures feared by ourselves. Today, I wish to share with you 7 ruthless lessons, 7 unflinching truths that will either elevate your spirit into emotional brilliance or cloak you in the guise of a dangerous monster. Lesson 1. Claim the throne of your mind. Your mind is the kingdom, and thoughts are the citizens. Too many allow the chaos of unexamined feelings to overthrow reason. To be truly emotionally intelligent, you must reign supreme over every fleeting impulse, every whisper of resentment, and every shadow of doubt. Recognize that your mind is a tool, not a tyrant. Observe your reactions as though they belong to another, for only by stepping back can you see the true pattern of your behavior. This is ruthless because it demands complete honesty with yourself, even about the ugly corners of your character, the jealousy, the pride, the fear that you secretly harbor. You must confront them as you would a treacherous general, with authority and unwavering resolve. Lesson 2. Guard your inner silence. Words are seeds. They germinate in the fertile soil of the human heart, creating either gardens of joy or jungles of despair. A ruthless soul learns to guard what passes from their lips. Not every truth is yours to speak. Not every insult deserves a reply. There is a power in silence, in withholding your immediate reaction, in allowing the world to expose its own absurdity before you act. The emotionally intelligent understand that measured restraint is strength disguised as calm. And make no mistake, the monster in disguise speaks loudly with every careless word, leaving destruction in its wake. Lesson 3. Recognize emotional thieves. There are those who, without conscience, seek to siphon your energy, to cloud your clarity, to entangle you in drama. This lesson is ruthless because it asks you to see people as they are, not as you wish them to be. Emotional intelligence demands boundaries forged in fire. It is not cruelty to distance yourself from those who perpetually demand your peace, it is survival. In this recognition, you cultivate discernment, learning to protect your inner light. The monster in disguise, conversely, consumes recklessly, scattering harm wherever it treads, blind to consequence, enslaved to its own unchecked fury. Lesson 4. Transform pain into power. Suffering is the crucible in which emotional mastery is forged. Yet most flee the flames, weeping over the heat rather than embracing its transformative force. To be ruthless in your growth is to look upon pain and ask, what is my gain? Every betrayal, every humiliation, every heartbreak carries a hidden gift. The emotionally intelligent extract wisdom and strength from it. The monster simply repeats the pattern, perpetuating chaos. You must not fear the lessons embedded in discomfort. Rather, you must extract their marrow, digest it, and rise. Your wounds, if rightly interpreted, become the architects of your resilience. Lesson 5. Master the alchemy of desire. Every human being carries a crucible of desire, a furnace where longing either fuels creation or ignites destruction. Emotional intelligence is the art of directing desire with precision, turning longing into action and vision, not chaos. It is ruthless because it requires you to know exactly what you want and, more importantly, what you will not tolerate. The monster, however, indulges every whim, allowing cravings to dictate its behavior, leaving trails of regret and resentment. You must convert hunger into strategy, impulse into insight, and passion into productive fire. Desire, when governed, is the sword of the enlightened. When uncontrolled, it is the weapon of the beast. Lesson 6. See reality without veil or flinching. The emotionally intelligent confront life without the comforting illusions that soften truth. They see people, situations, and outcomes with clarity, unclouded by wishful thinking or sentimentality. This lesson is ruthless because it strips away excuses and comforting lies. There is no room for self-deception, no luxury for denial. The monster, by contrast, chooses blind fury over clear vision, lashing out at shadows while neglecting the substance. To master your emotional kingdom, you must pierce the veil, observe reality as it stands, and act accordingly. This is not cynicism, it is sovereignty. Lesson 7. Serve your soul relentlessly. Finally, the ultimate test. Will you act in alignment with your highest principles, or will you surrender to the baser instincts that whisper, do what you can get away with? The emotionally intelligent serve a higher self, a higher truth, and they do so without apology. This is ruthless because it asks you to disregard fleeting popularity, momentary comfort, and the seductive allure of compromise. You must act with integrity, even when no one watches, because the real battlefield is within. The monster, meanwhile, serves only fear, ego, or fleeting satisfaction, and in doing so, it enslaves itself. In these 7 lessons lies the stark choice: emotional intelligence or a monster in disguise. Every decision, every reaction, every thought is a fork in the road. Will you temper your mind like steel, guard your words, discern friend from foe, transform pain into power, channel desire with precision, confront reality without flinch, and serve the eternal voice within? Or will you surrender to impulses that masquerade as freedom while chaining you to chaos? The world does not pause. It will test you relentlessly, and it will reveal your nature in every trial. Let these lessons become your law, your compass, your unwavering standard. When you walk the path of emotional mastery, you wield power gracefully, invisibly, irresistibly. When you walk as a monster, your power is raw, reactive, and feared. The choice is yours, and it is as ruthless as life itself. To master your inner kingdom is to step into a realm that most humans ignore, a domain more real than any external circumstance, more consequential than any outside authority. It is a place where every thought is a citizen, every emotion a subject, and every impulse a messenger, with either a gift or a warning. Few recognize the absolute sovereignty of the mind, yet it is the one throne that, once claimed, confers upon its ruler unmatched power. To begin this mastery, one must first understand that thoughts are not idle. They are the architects of reality. They do not merely drift, they build, brick by brick, the life you experience. Each fleeting feeling of irritation, each whisper of doubt, each flash of jealousy or pride is an edifice being raised within the invisible city of your inner world. To ignore them is to allow construction without plan, to give chaos the privilege of design. Therefore, the first step is ruthless self-observation. Watch your thoughts as though they belong to another. Notice the ones that repeat, the ones that inflame, the ones that seduce you into useless worry. This is not judgment, though it feels uncomfortable at first. It is intelligence in action. By seeing thoughts clearly, you gain the power to choose which ones will stay and which ones must leave. Control over the mind is not merely an exercise of denial or suppression. It is the deliberate cultivation of focus and intention. When an unhelpful thought arises, acknowledge it, thank it for attempting to teach you something, and then direct it toward a constructive purpose. This is the ruthless part. You will not allow the mind to linger in weakness, fear, or resentment. You are the sovereign, and indecision is treason. Every day, you will encounter impulses that seek to pull you toward reaction rather than deliberate response. When insulted, provoked, or challenged, observe the first flash of emotion, but do not act on it immediately. Let it surface. Let it pass through the mind like a river flowing over rocks, unshaken, unpolluted by panic or haste. In this practice, you cultivate what few possess: the discipline to respond rather than react, the wisdom to see that not every battle requires engagement, and the courage to preserve your inner peace above the fleeting satisfaction of retaliation. Mastering the inner kingdom also requires ruthless honesty. The human mind often cloaks truth in comforting illusions. Pride tells you that you are always right. Fear whispers that you are powerless. Desire persuades you to chase what is empty. To master yourself, you must see these illusions and strip them bare. There is no growth without acknowledgement of the shadows within you. Confront the resentment you hide, the envy you deny, the self-doubt you disguise as humility. These are not failings to be punished, but signals, warning beacons illuminating the areas where mastery is incomplete. A ruler who denies the existence of rebels within their realm will find those rebels overthrowing the government of the soul. Face them with clarity and discipline. Name them, understand their origin, and direct them toward transformation. This is the alchemy of emotional intelligence, converting base impulses into golden insight. Another essential element of ruling your mind is cultivating selective attention. The mind is like a garden, and what you water grows. Every hour spent indulging worry, fear, or anger nourishes weeds. Every hour spent on gratitude, curiosity, and deliberate planning nourishes flowers and trees that bear the fruit of wisdom, calm, and effective action. It is ruthless because it demands daily vigilance. You must examine where your attention drifts, what mental landscapes you wander into, and what influences you permit to enter your mind. Books, conversations, media, and even passing acquaintances act as gardeners, planting seeds in your inner kingdom. Choose carefully whose influence you accept. Let only those that serve growth, clarity, and purpose have access to your inner court. The rest must remain outside the gates, no matter how loud or insistent they may be. Equally important is the mastery of emotional triggers. Within every human is a collection of buttons, and life exists in large part to press them. The master of the mind does not react automatically. Instead, they identify what triggers the emotional fires within and prepare responses in advance. By doing so, they neutralize chaos before it can take root. When disappointment arrives, the emotionally intelligent do not collapse under its weight but analyze it for insight. When criticism appears, they discern what is constructive and discard the rest. Even joy, if it leads to arrogance or indulgence, is tempered with mindfulness. This is not coldness, it is strategic sovereignty. It is a recognition that unchecked reactions, even of happiness, can sow imbalance and disorder in the kingdom of the self. Discipline, observation, and selective attention alone are insufficient if not paired with the deliberate cultivation of positive thought. To master the mind is also to plant seeds intentionally, to envision outcomes with clarity, and to rehearse success as if it were a ritual. Affirmations, visualizations, and deliberate contemplation are not soft exercises in fantasy. They are the executive orders of your inner kingdom. They declare, without hesitation, the destiny you will allow yourself to inhabit. Every thought that aligns with your highest purpose strengthens the walls, enriches the soil, and fortifies the defenses of your inner realm. In this way, you become both gardener and general, nurturing growth while maintaining vigilance against chaos. Furthermore, mastering your inner kingdom demands patience and persistence. Change does not occur overnight, and the mind resists domination as naturally as a river resists a dam. There will be days when chaos seems to breach the gates, when old habits and emotions rise with the force of a storm. These are the tests, and they are necessary. A true sovereign does not despair in these moments. Instead, they double their observation, double their discipline, and double their commitment to the inner law they have established. Each victory over impulse, each choice to act with wisdom rather than emotion, each refusal to succumb to fear or resentment reinforces the rule of the mind and strengthens the capacity for emotional intelligence. Finally, mastery of the mind requires integration with action. A ruler who only contemplates strategy but never acts is powerless. Emotional intelligence manifests in the choices made, the words spoken, and the energy given to others and to one's own life. Every decision becomes an exercise of sovereignty. One does not lash out at insult, one does not cave to fear, one does not indulge weakness. Instead, one acts from a place of deliberate power, guided by observation, informed by experience, and aligned with purpose. This is the essence of mastery. It is not theoretical, it is active, it is relentless, and it is profoundly transformative. Pain is the furnace in which the soul is refined, the crucible that tests the metal of every human spirit, and the unseen teacher whose lessons are often harsh but profoundly illuminating. To transform pain into power is to see suffering not as a punishment or a random cruelty of life, but as a tool, a gift hidden in the harshness, a secret force waiting to be seized and redirected. Most people flee from discomfort, seeking immediate relief, distractions, or soothing illusions. Yet the truly empowered do not shy away from it. They meet it face to face, with eyes wide open and hearts unflinching, because they know that every wound contains a blueprint for growth. The first step in this ruthless alchemy is recognition. Acknowledge pain fully, admit its existence, and do not cloak it in denial or excuses. Only when you see it clearly can you begin to transmute it. Pain carries messages, and those messages are rarely gentle. Betrayal, humiliation, loss, rejection, each is a teacher in disguise. When someone wrongs you, the instinct is to lash out, to brood, to let resentment fester like a poison in the veins. Yet the emotionally intelligent soul understands that the initial sting is the signal, the raw material for power. Analyze it. What does this situation reveal about your own boundaries, your blind spots, or your unacknowledged desires? Every challenge is a mirror, reflecting weaknesses and strengths alike. Do not waste the lesson in complaint or self-pity. Instead, extract the knowledge hidden within the pain, like a miner unearthing gold from the rock. Suffering also exposes patterns. Often, pain is not random. It is a teacher repeating lessons until mastery is achieved. Observe carefully. Are you attracting situations or people that amplify familiar wounds? Are there decisions you continue to make that perpetuate the same hurt? The ruthless aspect of transformation lies here. You must be honest enough to confront your own role in these cycles. You must see where fear, self-doubt, or unresolved resentment has built invisible chains that tether you to repetitive suffering. Only by shining a clear light on these patterns can you begin to dismantle them, brick by brick, choice by choice. The next layer of alchemy is conscious emotional processing. Pain unexamined festers. It becomes a trap, a cage, a weapon turned inward. To transform it, one must feel deeply, but not without purpose. Permit yourself to sit with grief, anger, or shame, not to drown in it, but to observe it, to name it, to understand it. Give the emotions language, give them structure, and then redirect the energy they provide. Every surge of anger can be refined into determination. Every pang of loss can be converted into empathy and insight. Every humiliation can be transformed into resolve. The truly ruthless soul is not cold, it is precise. It does not let emotion run wild. It channels it, converting raw heat into the energy of creation rather than destruction. Another essential principle is the redefinition of perception. Pain only holds dominion over you if you believe it defines you. The emotionally intelligent warrior sees suffering as a temporary visitor, a messenger that passes through the kingdom of the self. The world may wound you, others may betray you, circumstances may crush you, yet you are not the victim, you are the alchemist. Your mind and spirit are laboratories, and in these laboratories, pain is never wasted. It is transformed, distilled, and purified into insight, resilience, and courage. By changing the narrative around suffering from "why me" to "what is this teaching me?", you seize control and begin the process of metamorphosis. Growth demands action. Reflection and understanding alone are insufficient. You must apply the lessons pain has offered. If betrayal revealed your boundary weaknesses, fortify them. If loss exposed dependency or attachment, cultivate self-reliance. If rejection highlighted a lack of alignment with your purpose, recalibrate your focus and intentions. Each lesson is a seed. Action waters it, sunlight nurtures it, and patience allows it to grow into strength. Do not expect immediate transformation. Like fire refining gold, the process is gradual, precise, and requires consistency. Forgiveness is a subtle yet powerful tool in the transformation of pain. This is often misunderstood as weakness, but it is a calculated act of liberation. To forgive is not to condone wrongs, it is to release their hold over your spirit. Harboring resentment is like drinking poison and expecting the offender to suffer. It is the chains of bitterness that bind you, not anyone else. Forgiveness, in this ruthless sense, is strategic. It clears space for clarity, energy, and focus. It allows you to use the energy once tied up in anger and sadness to fuel determination, creativity, and emotional resilience. The power comes not from denial, but from liberation, choosing to no longer be a captive to circumstances or other people's actions. Pain also builds intuition and discernment. Once you have walked through suffering and examined it with honesty, the mind begins to detect subtle truths that others overlook. The scars you carry sharpen perception, teaching you to see motives, patterns, and outcomes with uncanny clarity. The emotionally intelligent become skilled at anticipating challenges, navigating conflict, and avoiding traps that once caused suffering. This is not mystical. It is the natural product of experience consciously integrated. Each trial endured without surrender adds depth, wisdom, and strategic insight. Resilience, however, is not just individual, it is relational and environmental. The inner kingdom fortified through pain allows you to interact with others without being pulled into their chaos. You learn to remain centered amid storms, to offer empathy without compromise, and to act decisively without being swayed by transient emotions. You understand that power derived from suffering is not domination over others, but mastery over the self. You do not lash out in retaliation, nor do you hide in fear. You act with clarity, confidence, and integrity. Finally, transforming pain into power is an ongoing practice, a lifelong discipline. There will always be new challenges, new disappointments, and fresh wounds. The world is relentless in testing the soul. Yet each test is an opportunity to refine, to sharpen, and to strengthen. Pain is not a signal of weakness, it is a tool of empowerment. By embracing it, understanding it, acting upon it, forgiving, and integrating its lessons, the human spirit becomes not fragile but formidable, not reactive but proactive, not defeated but indomitable. To serve your higher self relentlessly is to pledge allegiance to a force within you that is timeless, unshakable, and infinitely wise. It is to recognize that beneath the shifting currents of desire, fear, and circumstance lies an eternal authority, the voice of your truest self, and that your highest duty is to act in alignment with this inner command. The majority of humanity drifts aimlessly, swayed by impulses, external approval, and the fleeting gratifications of the moment. They live in a state of quiet surrender to circumstance, unaware that their inner kingdom is untamed and chaotic, and that mastery comes only through conscious, deliberate service to a higher standard. The ruthless practitioner understands that this alignment is not optional. It is a matter of survival, spiritual fortitude, and ultimate effectiveness. The first step in this relentless service is awareness. You must develop an intimate familiarity with your inner compass, learning to distinguish between the voice of fear, ego, or indulgence, and the voice of your higher self. This requires patience, introspection, and courage, because the truth is often uncomfortable. Your higher self will demand accountability, honesty, and the refusal to settle for mediocrity. It will call you to choices that may be unpopular, inconvenient, or misunderstood by others. Yet these choices are precisely the ones that cultivate power, integrity, and emotional intelligence. To ignore this voice is to abdicate your throne, to allow the reactive, impulsive, and superficial aspects of yourself to dictate the course of your life. Serving the higher self relentlessly is an exercise in discipline. It requires that every decision, every action, and every word be measured against a standard of integrity and purpose. There will be temptation to take shortcuts, to act in self-interest at the expense of conscience, to indulge laziness or anger. The truly empowered recognize that yielding to such impulses is betrayal of the inner kingdom. They act with precision, deliberation, and clarity, ensuring that their energy, their influence, and their choices are aligned with principles that elevate rather than degrade. The ruthless element lies in the refusal to negotiate with weakness, to compromise on truth, or to excuse failure of character. Every moment is a test, and every choice is a declaration of allegiance. Another critical element of this relentless service is the cultivation of inner clarity. The higher self speaks in subtle tones, through intuition, insight, and a deep, almost sacred knowing. It is drowned out by distraction, by fear, by endless external chatter, and by indulgence in triviality. To hear this voice clearly, one must develop stillness, observation, and meditation. This does not mean withdrawal from life. Rather, it means stepping into life with conscious attention, filtering all stimuli through the lens of what is true, constructive, and aligned with your ultimate purpose. The emotionally intelligent recognize that clarity is power, and that confusion, indecision, or ignorance of the inner self is the pathway to chaos and inner tyranny. Relentless service also demands courage. To act according to your higher self is not always safe or convenient. It may provoke resistance, misunderstanding, or even hostility from others who operate from fear, envy, or short-sightedness. Yet the ruler of the inner kingdom does not yield to social pressure or temporary comfort. They act decisively, ethically, and consistently, even in the face of opposition. Courage is not the absence of fear, but the choice to proceed in alignment with principle despite it. This is the hallmark of emotional intelligence. The ability to govern reactions, maintain composure, and act with unwavering purpose, transforming challenges into opportunities for growth and mastery. Accountability is another cornerstone. Serving the higher self relentlessly requires complete ownership of actions, decisions, and outcomes. It is not enough to intend or to plan. One must execute with integrity and accept responsibility for every ripple created. When mistakes occur, as they inevitably will, the empowered individual does not hide, excuse, or blame. They examine, learn, and adjust, using every failure as a tool for refinement. The monster in disguise blames others, justifies impulsive behavior, and avoids responsibility, whereas the emotionally intelligent convert every misstep into insight, growth, and renewed alignment with the higher self. The energy invested in relentless service is not limited to introspection or personal conduct. It extends outward, influencing relationships, work, and contribution to the world. Those who act from their higher self radiate stability, integrity, and authority that others instinctively recognize. They do not manipulate, coerce, or dominate, but they exert influence through presence, clarity, and consistency. Every interaction becomes a choice, to respond with wisdom rather than impulse, to lift rather than diminish, to embody the principles that serve the greater purpose. In this way, power is exercised not for selfish gain, but for the amplification of effectiveness, emotional intelligence, and enduring respect. Persistence is indispensable in this practice. The world will test loyalty to the higher self endlessly. Temptations, distractions, setbacks, and provocations arise daily. The average person yields, retreats, or reacts impulsively. The empowered individual does not. They cultivate routines, affirmations, and rituals that reinforce alignment with the higher self. They revisit principles daily, recalibrate intentions, and evaluate actions against their highest standards. Relentless service is not sporadic, it is habitual, unbroken, and unwavering. It is a declaration that your inner kingdom will not be compromised by whim, circumstance, or weakness. Equally important is discernment. The higher self demands that one choose carefully where to invest energy, attention, and emotion. Not all battles are yours to fight, and not all relationships are yours to preserve. Relentless service requires recognizing what aligns with your higher purpose and what detracts from it. It is ruthless in its precision, refusing to squander life force on trivialities, petty grievances, or distractions that undermine clarity and power. Emotional intelligence flourishes in this environment because the individual is no longer reactive to every external stimulus, but selectively engaged according to principle, intention, and vision. Finally, the service of the higher self is transformative. When one acts with unwavering allegiance to inner truth, the mind becomes clear, emotions balanced, and spirit fortified. Every experience, whether joyous or challenging, is integrated into the greater narrative of growth and mastery. Challenges cease to terrify because they are understood as invitations to refine discipline, insight, and resilience. The higher self guides every thought, reaction, and action toward coherence and purpose, and in this alignment, power manifests not as domination or fear, but as presence, wisdom, and influence that flows naturally, effortlessly, and with undeniable authority.